Hi, and welcome to this video about a very old and very specialized hand tool. It's made only for one purpose, and that is for splitting logs like this one. These ones into small pieces, fitting in a heat stove for heating, for firing and heating. It's the splitting axe. And in the end we will make a small hunt for the best splitting axe on the market. But stay put, first some explanations about the function and the physics surrounding this tool. And I will start with the most fundamental thing, I think, a wedge. Because you can actually, not using a splitting axe, but instead using a wedge and a sledgehammer. So we will start trying to demonstrate how that goes. And now it's beginning to split up. Looks like this. And then I can now see how far this wedge is going into the wood and measure the width here. It's about 2 centimeters. And we actually don't need much more, because when the crack is opened like this with at about 2 centimeters, it will split a log like this one in most cases. That's interesting to know when we're going to look at the design of the splitting axe further on. Well, this is not the most efficient method, so mankind has invented a more efficient one by putting a handle onto the wedge, like this. What happens now is that we, with a long handle, small movement here creates a greater movement, longer distance here, so we get a much better power performance. We can actually split a log like this one with one heat, quite easily. And perhaps, as you have noticed, in my hand I'm not holding a splitting axe. This is actually a very common all-round axe. And I will start to ask the question, do we need a splitting axe, or can we use anyone? This is a very thin profile, as you can see. It's rectangular in form. It's made by Hultsbruk in Sweden, and I use it a lot as a small, light, all-round axe. It's actually just weighing 900 grams, the head. So it's very lightweight, very convenient and easy to use. And as you can see, I will show you some more. This is a piece of cake to split wood with. I don't use much force here. I don't need to. I can do this hours long, all day long. I I don't use a full swing either. Not much power. So this is actually probably the best splitting tool, the best splitting axe for this kind of logs, as I demonstrated here. And that is up to a size like this. This is 30 centimeters long and 20-25 centimeters width, about 20 I think. But what happens when we are getting up to bigger sized logs? Well, we'll see. This is one. It's about the same height, but 35 centimeters in width. This is quite wet. Has been lying here all the winter. Well, I can do this, but as you see, it will get stuck with the first, because this profile is very thin, so it will go very deep into the wood and not convert this down-going power to a sideways horizontal power as a good splitting axe will do. This is a splitting axe, and I will demonstrate how this tool works on the bigger log, if it's better or not. Apparently it is, because with just one stroke I was able to split this one. And as you can see, the profile is much wider, so it can convert the power, so it can split this log much better. Conclusions so far is, for small logs you can actually use this kind of axe. It's just 66 centimeters handle, 900 grams weight for the axe head. I think this is the best axe for smaller logs, because it's so light and convenient to use. This is much more heavy, so you will waste your energy really to use this It's overkill to use a splitting axe for small logs. So actually we just need this tool as it is designed today, at least, for bigger logs. Now we will talk some physics, because this is very important. What happens when we are swinging an axe is that we are increasing the power a lot in the swing. But what is important really, is it the weight? Many believe so. Apparently still in this century people are believing that weight is the most important. That's why axes like this splitting axes usually are produced as very much heavier than more common all-round axes like this one. Newton, for ages ago, found out the energy law of kinetics, and it tells us that energy equals the mass multiplied with the square of the speed, all divided by 2. And what this means is that if you increase the mass, heavier head, in this case, if you double the mass, you will double the output energy. Now, if you double the speed, you will actually quadruple the output power. So that's why the speed is more important than the weight. And in this comprehensive study I made here at Station Lunda. I have measured axe swings with high-speed cameras, been analyzing a lot of examples, and found out that the weight of the axe head, when it increases, it will actually decrease the speed, because you can't swing a heavier axe into a higher speed than a lighter. So there is actually just benefits of using a lighter axe head. Not as light as possible, because it's a breaking point. I would say around 900 gram a kilo or so for a head, but not heavier really. You don't need more weight. This is also proved in studies with other swinging tools like the golf club, tennis racket, baseball bat, and so on. Studies have proved the same in all cases, that you can't swing a heavier racket, tool, or club faster than a light one, and it's the speed that is most important. That's why a golf club isn't so heavy. It's not heavy as a sledgehammer, really. And this is so important, really. We can also see in karate, where men are splitting briquettes with the bare hands. Why is that? Is it because they are so strong, they have so much muscles, or heavier arms? No, it's not the weight, it's not the muscle either. It's the technique of building up the speed, because it's the speed that is important. It's the speed that makes the brick crack. And another conclusion that we can make about the weight is very important too. And that's the question of energy efficiency. In this case, when we are splitting firewood with an axe, we have a sort of input energy. And that is lifting up this axe over the head and by force increasing the speed downwards. And then you will get an output energy that will split the log, preferably. So, if we have more input energy, then we will have less energy efficiency. So, we can take an example. If we have an axe with an axe head that weighs 2 kilos more than the lighter one, then we will lift up 2 kilos, about 2.5 meters from the ground each time for each stroke. 2 kilos more than the lighter one. That is for each stroke. If we do that about 500 times, which we can do if we are working hard, within an hour. In an hour, in this example, we have lifted 500 multiplied with 2, that is 1,000 kilos more. 1,000 kilos more. 2.5 meters up in the air in an hour. I think that example will tell us all about how much more work we have to do to get the same job done. And it's, of course, much more energy saving, energy efficient to use as little input power and input energy as possible. So, now until now, conclude some things that we want from a splitting axe. and that is a handle, of course, and it should be a long handle. We will increase the power quite remarkably with just a slightly longer handle. Most splitting axes is too short. This is 70 centimeters. It's too short. It's not good. It should be 80 or perhaps 90 centimeters long. You will increase from 70 to 85 centimeters. You will actually increase the power output by about 30%. That's a lot. So the length on the handle, the axe head, lightweighted as possible, but still this wider angle, so you can convert the downgoing power to the splitting sideways horizontal power. Also small thing about the axe is this cover of steel on the handle, because it should be on all splitting axes, because it's very easy to hit on the edge here of the log. You shouldn't do that, but sometimes you do it, and you will very fast destroy the handle if you do so. You can actually crack it in one blow if you're unlucky. That could happen also inside the log, because it could be a twig or something inside that it will hit that part. So this will really make your axe more long-lasting if you have it. There is a lot of details we could say that we would like to have about a splitting axe, and I think the environmental and reusing for a long time efficiency and sustainability is very important. This is how I think a splitting axe should look like. Just a piece of wood, no varnish, no lacquer, no color. The patina will just grow with the age instead of if it's painted it will wear down, look uglier with time. And a piece of steel, also untreated, unpainted. And the handle should be replaceable. In fact, some modern axes made of composite aren't replaceable, and then you will have to buy a new one. Now that we have been setting the parameters for the splitting axe, we're coming to the conclusive part of this video, trying to find the holy grail, the holy splitting axe, the best splitting axe on the market. So we will begin with these heavy ones. They are called splitting mauls. They are actually sledgehammers with an axe part on them. You can see the profile on one of these. This is Gränsfors Bruks, made in Sweden. This one is from Wetterlings, also in Sweden. They look very nice, very good craftsmanship, but as a splitting axe they don't fulfill our parameters. They are way too heavy, about 2.7, 2.8 kilos for the axe head only. So if you want to waste your energy, you can do so, but it's not energy efficient to use as a swinging splitting axe. Just to lift them, you will be tired in a few minutes. So I don't know why they are produced really. I can't see any way to use them. Perhaps as a wedge with a handle, and someone else is hammering on it with a sledgehammer. But I don't see where and when I should use that. So I threw them to the drain. They are way too heavy, and I should also say that they're way too wide. I told you before, in the beginning, when we were looking at the wedge, that we just needed a crack about 2 centimeters wide to split a log, and these are almost 5 centimeters in width. It's really overkill. You don't need more than the first part of this wedge. So everything is wrong with these. Also the handles are really too short, just 75 centimeters. It's too short. No, we throw them away. Splitting mauls should not be produced or used as a splitting axe. And now to a very interesting example. This is newly made Finnish invention, a newly produced splitting tool, really. It looks very odd, as you can see, asymmetric in design and very strange profile. This axe is not meant to be used after the principle of the wedge. It's blunt on the edge, and it has its asymmetric profile because when it penetrates into the wood, it will turn to one side and really function as a lever rather than a wedge. So it will lever up the crack and split the log. That's the point. That's the purpose. Now, will it work? No, it will not work. It's actually the lousiest splitting axe I've tried. It's funny that it's produced. I don't know why, because it doesn't work. It's blunt, so it will not. It will just bounce off in most cases, and if it does split, it does so much harder than any other axe I've tried. And I will show you in a special movie I made before how it works. So, this lever axe, don't buy it. It also costs 3-4 times more than any other axe. It's really crap. It's useless. And now to the most interesting group of splitting axes. Is more light in weight, smaller than a splitting maul, and it's more closely to our parameters for a good splitting tool. Here is a German type, I call it, of splitting axehead, and it has this ridge trying to reduce the area and friction, which never works. because the wood is elastic and will form around these corners and fill out the total area, which is actually greater than the plain side. So the result is the opposite. It will produce greater friction between steel and wood, actually. And this is painted ugly orange paint, and it's varnished, and actually you can get blisters on your hands if you are working with bare hands and no gloves when it's varnished. So it shouldn't be, and also it will look ugly quite fast because this paint and varnish will wear down. So this is not a good axe. It's also the grains. Don't know if you can see this. It's not so clear, but the grains on these handles, I got two, and both of them have the grains the wrong way. The grain in the handle should be parallel with the neck and the edge, this way, upside down in this picture. But it's not, it's the other way. And then it will much easier break, usually here. No, I threw this away. It's not a very good axe. We'll go to the next one. Also, all these handles really are too short. They are 75 to 80 centimeters, and or 70 to 80. I would like 80 to 90 centimeters to improve output power. This is a Swedish axe, very nice looking. It has this triangular shaped side profile. It's from Vetterlings in Sweden. It's very nicely made, nice hand craftsmanship, really nice looking. But well, it's not good enough. This isn't very wide, but it's still too heavy. Around 2 kilos for this one, which is somewhat lighter really, but still too heavy. It lowers the efficiency of our work. So now we have 2 axes left here, and I consider both of them quite good really. This is from Fiskas, called the X25, and the head looks like this in profile, and it's a very good axe, very good splitting action really, because it has the right angle here, and no, not too much steel, but it's still too heavy. It's around 2 kilos also, and the handle is really the downside, because you can't replace this handle when it breaks, and it will probably break sometime, because every handle does. It's good function, so you could absolutely buy and use this one, but it's not the best that we can get really. It doesn't come up to 100% of our parameters. And another one that is very nice, it's quite light and small. This is too small, just 70 centimeters. I know they produced one with the 80. If you should buy this, you should absolutely buy the longer handle. It's from Gränsfors Brook, and it looks like this one in the profile. It has a plain side, but it's slightly concave, as you could see. That's also to try or lower the friction between steel and wood. It doesn't work really, either. So my conclusion has been that a straight, plain side is the best profile, really. What's good about this, it has this protection steel on the handle, very good, and very nice craftsmanship, really nice looking. That's how it should look. But it's still light. It doesn't come up to 100% of our parameters either. So actually, I can't find any axe that does on the market today. And in this study of the splitting axe and its physics, I made a prototype trying to fulfill this, all these parameters that I have concluded to be the best splitting tool. This axe is, the head is just weighing 1100 grams, I think. It has a long handle. I made it with a small band in the end. I think that's more convenient, more ergonomic, really. I don't know, but I feel it's very nice. And actually, the result is very positive. The action is just as good as any axe, or slightly better, because a good profile, angle, weight, and so on. And I don't get tired. That's the best thing with this axe. It has a very good energy efficiency. It's absolutely the best in that way. After 15 minutes I'm not tired at all. With a splitting maul I'm tired after just 2 minutes. I may demonstrate how it works, but it won't tell you much, but it's really quite nice to work with. I don't feel tired very easily with this one. You can actually talk with you and still do the work here. I can do this all the day without getting tired in this way. Well, that's all from Station Lunda and this study of the splitting axe. I'm sorry that we can't find a very good splitting axe on the market. It's really quite bad and astonishing. We have to reinvent it, apparently. Bye for now.